Hello guys, Bud here with Dependable Lawn Care, and this morning I've got a little garage project. I'm going to be putting some new rubber on the G15. These tires have a little bit of tread left, but not enough to get through next season, and since the season's over, it's time to start doing some of that maintenance to kind of prepare for next year. So this is one of the projects on my list. Now I'm going with a different tire size. So these tires that are on it are a 13-inch tire. They're a 13-656 6-inch wheel. The ones that I purchased for it, I'll show you the brand. So they're a Track Guard is the brand, but the size, they're a 15-6-6. So they're 2 inches taller, a ½ inch narrower, and same wheel size, of course. So that's what I'm going to be going back on with. And the reason that I went a little bit taller, that's only gonna actually raise the mower about an inch in the back, maybe not even that much. But I'm just kind of a big fan of going with a bigger tire size on the rear for traction. I did that on my stand-on mower. I went with the bigger tire size in the back, and it made a world of difference on how much better that thing gets around, the ride quality, etc. And most of the time I don't use the sulky on my G15, but when I do, that should make a big difference on how well it can pull my butt around, as well as its own weight. And then I do use it quite a bit for the aerations and stuff like that. And it can always use a little bit extra grip for that stuff. So anyway, that's my project for the day. I've done a video before of showing you guys how to change a lawnmower tire, so I'm not gonna video the whole process. If you haven't done this before, let me walk you through the process of removing the wheel on this G15. It's probably similar to a lot of the walk-behind mowers. I don't know. I know that a buddy of mine that has a Skag walk-behind 36-inch mower, it's very similar to this as well. But just let me show you how that works, because it's a little bit different. And the reason being, this is the belt drive type. So on the back here you have the belt pulley and the drum, which is all part of your system. And in order to take the wheel off, all of that comes with it, the drum and the pulley. So we're going to have to do a couple things to get the belt out of the way, and also to get the wheel off of the axle itself. Now the wheel itself, the axle that the wheel sets on is not a drive axle. You notice there's a grease zerk right here. So all that does is spins, and the drive part of it is the belt system. So it's just a free spinning axle. It's actually more like a hub. So what we're going to do is first we'll remove this grease cap, which just twist and pull, and that comes off. It's a dust cap, really. It just keeps the dust and dirt out of there. And then once that's off, I don't know if you're going to be able to see it with all the grease, there's a lock pin, not a lock pin, but a snap ring. So let me pull that off. Trying to video this and do it at the same time. So I'm trying to do this left-handed, and I've got my shop dog here trying to help me too. Okay, so there's the snap ring. See that? And I've got a rag right here so I can put everything on and keep it all clean, because you don't want to get this stuff contaminated with the dirt and metal shavings and stuff like that might be on your floor. Okay, and that's a stack of shims, basically just thin washers. And then I think there's one more washer. Yeah, there's a thick washer. And another thing about this is making sure that you have everything in the right order. So that's a single thick washer. So those are our components right there. Okay, now that can slide off once the belt's out of the way. So the next thing that I've got to do, I've got a 1/2-inch socket wrench, and I'm going to go to the pulley right here. This is the pulley that controls the tension on your belt. So what I'm going to do is loosen it up, and on the back side, let's see if I can get maybe I can get a shot of the other side from here. Be kind of a tight spot. So you can see, kind of, not very well, but there's a channel behind that pulley, and basically you can adjust it back and forth to change the tension on the belt. So right now both of them are right in the middle, and sorry I can't show you that with the camera, but basically what I'm going to do is loosen this up, which is going to allow that belt to move out of the way. Okay, so break that loose. Doesn't have to be super loose. Okay, now that allows that to move forward. I don't know if you can see that movement. See, this is what I was talking about, the channel. That's how much movement it has back and forth. Okay, so now that loosens up the belt quite a bit. In fact, I can take it completely off right there. So now on the back side of this, you start pulling it out. Okay, there. Now you see what I was talking about a little bit better. So the belt's got to come off. So I'm going to off-track the belt like so. Now this whole thing pulls off one piece. So I just kind of wanted to walk you through that process. Okay, I just dropped a washer there. I got to make sure I pick that up. But this is what you have. And I can probably change the tire with that on, but I can also take out those 4 bolts right here, and that takes that whole hub assembly and pulley off of the wheel itself, which would allow me direct access to the wheel. So I'm just going to see how difficult it is to take off. If I need to, I'll remove that. In the meantime, I'm going to put this, make sure it's clean, but I'm going to put this washer back on because I really don't want it hanging around out here where I might lose it. It actually sits back in there. So basically it goes between the wheel and the actual side of the machine. And like I said, this axle doesn't turn. It's just a solid state, and the wheel acts as a hub, and the belt is what drives each individual wheel. So a little piece of trash up in there too. But let me get that wheel changed, and then we'll go through the process again to put it back on. So I did end up taking the pulley and the drum off of the wheels to make it easier to put the tires on, and I've got them on there now. So I was going to show you the difference in the width of the tires. Is not much of a difference. Just the shape of the tire really is the major difference, but there's the difference in the size and height. So like I said before, it's not a major difference, but it will help some with traction, and that's really what I was going for. So anyway, they're switched over, so now I'll run you through the process of putting all that back together and putting it back on the mower. We're all back on. Let me show you a couple things that you probably couldn't see from the camera angle about putting this back on. So, for one, right here, I'm probably going to show you on the other side. Yeah, I'll show you on the other side. So when you're putting all this back together, this has a little channel. You can see that right there, that little groove in it. Okay, so it fits onto this tab like so. Alright, you don't want it in front of it or behind it. It needs to be on it like that. So that was one thing that you probably couldn't see from the camera angle. And then of course, you feed your belt back into your pulley. And then the belt needs to go back behind this pulley when you're all back in place. I think everything else you could probably see pretty good. Now I do need to get this back in place and tighten it back up, which I'll do. And then I'll show you the finished product when I get both sides on and everything's put back together. Okay guys, the new tires are on. Everything's back in place, ready to use. I checked the pitch of the blades, and it only changed the pitch of the blades as it sat about 3/8 of an inch, so it really didn't affect anything there. And I like the way they fit on there. I mean, they look like they fit the mower well, and size-wise, no issues with that size tire. They still fit great, plenty of clearance around everything. The only thing that I was a little bit concerned about, still got lots of clearance there in front of the deck, and all the clearance that I need down the side. The guard right here is out of the way. This pulley was the only thing that I was a little bit concerned about, and it still has a ton of space right there. I mean, technically I could have even gone a couple inches bigger than that, but then I don't want to throw my gear ratio off too much. So anyway, it's all done. Just remember, if you do this, the very last thing you should do is repack everything with grease, which I did. Put my grease gun on that grease zert and made sure that everything had plenty of fresh grease in it. It's about time for that anyway, so I went ahead and did my deck spindles and my front wheels, and went over everything else to make sure I had everything lubed up. So the only thing I'll need to do going into spring is change my engine oil and filter and be ready to roll. So thanks for watching, guys.